Me and my husband came home from our honeymoon and saw our entire living room looked different. There was a new couch, new curtains, new table, and when I went upstairs, a man I'd never seen was installing a new shower. I ran down confused and saw my mother-in-law. She said, "Surprise, I redecorated everything. Your old stuff was just so dated." I looked around and everything was in bright floral designs she loved and knew I hated. She had actually redesigned my entire home. I awkwardly thanked her and asked how much this cost, but she replied, "Oh, I didn't pay for it." I instantly checked our joint account and saw $12,000 were missing. My mother-in-law said, "You wouldn't have used that money for anything good anyway." I was furious and wanted to explode, but I just smiled and said thank you. When she left, I saw our old furniture in the garage, and me and my husband came up with an idea. We bought my mother-in-law tickets for a solo weekend getaway as a thank you, and when she left, we drove to a junkyard and loaded our car with the ugliest, most broken furniture we could find. We put all the broken chairs, destroyed tables, and cracked mirrors everywhere inside her home. Her entire house was cluttered top to bottom because we didn't move any of the original furniture. Then, we waited for her to get back. When she walked in, she saw the mess and her jaw dropped. I came around the corner and said, "Surprise, I redecorated everything." She didn't have any words left and walked over to her old couch surrounded by old broken drawers. But when she sat on it, the couch fell from under her. You see, we'd also sabotaged her existing good furniture, unscrewing bolts so the couch collapsed, taking out springs from the bed, and more. She stood up red in the face and screamed, "I'm taking back every piece of furniture I bought you." But I just shrugged. Yeah, about that. We sold it all. That money was ours anyway. Her jaw dropped, and I walked out of the house, leaving her in what looked like a garbage dump with no good furniture left. Me and my husband came home from our honeymoon and saw our entire living room. My boyfriend's phone lit up on the nightstand with a Tinder notification, and when I opened the app, I saw his bio said he was single and looking for something real. Before I could keep snooping, I heard his footsteps outside our bedroom, so I put his phone down and acted normal when he walked in. He told me he was heading to work, so I kissed him goodbye and said I love you, but I was already planning how to get him back. When the front door closed, I downloaded Tinder and made a fake profile using my friend Carly's photos. I swiped until his face came up, and the second we matched, he texted me, "Do you believe in love at first swipe?" I gagged, but typed back a winky face, and we texted for hours. And so he came home with a grin on his face, then sent Carly a message about how the two of them had this incredible connection he hadn't felt in years, all while I was sitting next to him on the couch. I kept my cool and didn't say anything, but after 4 days, I texted him as Carly, asking when we were going to meet. "How about coffee this afternoon?" he asked, and so I suggested a place across town, and drove there when it was time for our date. I parked across the street and he showed up 10 minutes early, but I let him sit there for 20 before texting him, "I just saw you through the window and you're way uglier than I expected. I have standards, so I'm leaving." His phone lit up and I watched his face collapse as he read the message, and then he went to his car and cried for 15 minutes before driving home. I beat him home and he walked in with red eyes and dragged himself to the bedroom. I smiled, then followed him in and sat on the bed. "We need to break up. I'm not attracted to you anymore." Tears formed in his eyes. "You can't just say that out of nowhere," he cried. "I'm sorry, but I'm not attracted to you, and that's not going to change." He sobbed harder, and I said, "You should probably start looking for a new place." My boyfriend's phone lit up on the nightstand with a Tinder notification, and me and my son were in the airplane bathroom when I tried to open the door, but my hand wouldn't move. Liam was kicking his heel against the wall the way he did on every flight when we were in the bathroom together. I tried again, but my entire body was paralyzed. Something was wrong with me, and I couldn't tell him. I tried again, and my hand still wouldn't move. Someone started knocking on the door, soft at first, then harder, then a fist that didn't stop. I tried my best to at least move my mouth to scream for help, but my body refused to move. "Mommy," Liam said, but my head wouldn't turn to look at him. I tried to say his name, and my mouth wouldn't work. My body started shaking, and I couldn't make it stop. The edges of my vision went black, and the little mirror above the sink started to disappear. "Mommy, mommy, mommy, what's wrong?" Liam's voice climbed each time. A woman started shouting through the door, "What is wrong with you in there? Some of us need to use the bathroom." The lock turned from outside, and the door slid open. Her eyes hit my face, and the shouting stopped. "Oh my god, can you hear me?" She told the flight attendant without taking her eyes off me. "Active stroke, female, 40s, get this plane on the ground so we can save her life." She got me out of the stall and laid me on my side on the galley floor. She kept her hand on my shoulder until we landed. I'd had a stroke at 35,000 feet, and she was a doctor flying home from a conference. She rode in the ambulance holding Liam's hand the whole way. I survived with some weakness on my left side. The doctors said another 20 minutes in the air, and I wouldn't have survived. Every time we take a flight, Liam asks, "Is the angry lady who saved you flying with us today?" Me and my son were in the airplane bathroom when I tried to open. I caught my husband sneaking out of bed in the middle of the night and coming home at 5 a.m. with woman's jewelry in his pocket. I pointed at it. "Whose jewelry is this? This isn't mine." He looked nervous, like I caught him doing something bad. "None of your business. Go back to bed." He dismissed me entirely and walked away, smiling ear to ear. I knew he was hiding something, and I was sure the jewelry was from another woman, and he was cheating on me. So I went back to bed and came up with the perfect plan to find out the truth. The next day, I bought him a fancy new smartwatch and surprised him with it. I told him it's because I love him. He was thrilled and put it on. But what he didn't know was that while setting it up, I secretly turned on location tracking, synced his health data to my phone, and made myself his emergency contact, so I'd be able to see where exactly he went. And that same night, he tiptoed out of bed again, thinking I was asleep. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A notification from the watch. His heart rate was climbing, and the watch pinned his location at a house in a fancy neighborhood. My stomach turned because he was at another woman's house. I grabbed my keys to drive over there and catch him in the act. But on the way there, an emergency alert flashed on my screen. His heart rate had spiked to dangerous levels, and the watch had auto-dialed 911. My eyes widened. What was he doing? I slammed on the gas and sped to that house. I pulled up and jumped out, ready to kick him in his balls. But as I stormed to the house, the front door burst open, and men in black ski masks came pouring out, carrying bags. I gasped. They spotted me and aimed their guns right at me. I threw my hands up, screaming. Sure, I was about to die, wondering if they already had killed my husband. But then I noticed it. On one of their wrists was the exact smartwatch I'd given my husband. I stuttered, "Wait, is that you?" The robber froze, then slowly pulled off his mask. My jaw dropped. It was my husband. He wasn't cheating, he was robbing houses. And the watch had called 911 the second his heart spiked mid-robbery. Sirens screamed down the street, and the cops swarmed in. As they threw their hands up, the duffel bags hit the ground, and women's jewelry spilled out across the grass. I caught my husband sneaking out of bed in the middle of the night. My dad put $20 on my table every time I studied for an exam and told me to use it for a Snickers and a Red Bull. He swore that back in college he only passed exams if he had Snickers and a Red Bull beforehand and failed if he didn't. I laughed and just pocketed the money. But when I got into medical school and failed my first 3 exams, he put $20 on my table, and I thought, screw it. 30 minutes before my next exam, I FaceTimed him with a Red Bull and Snickers. He genuinely pumped his fists. And 4 days later, when my professor handed my paper back and my jaw dropped, 93, I immediately called him and shouted, "It worked." But when he picked me up that afternoon to go celebrate, I suddenly got extremely dizzy. "Dad, I don't feel so good." But when I looked over, he was also swaying behind the wheel. My vision blurred and I blacked out. I woke up in a hospital bed, with my dad also in a bed next to me. I was about to ask why we were here when a doctor wrapped a sleeve around both our arms. "You two have genetically low blood pressure. I recommend constantly having sugar, or else your brain won't be able to stay alert." I looked at her, and suddenly it clicked. "Dad, I know why we passed the exams. All the caffeine and sugar from the Snickers and Red Bull raised our blood pressure to normal levels so we could concentrate better. It was never the Snickers and Red Bull." Dad looked at me for a long time. "Nah, it's still the Snickers and Red Bull." My dad put $20 on my Every night at 8:30, my 6-year-old marched into my bathroom, handed me my toothbrush, and said, "2 minutes." Maisie brushed beside me at the sink with the focus of a tiny, deadly serious dentist, never taking her eyes off the clock. She'd started the week after we buried her dad, 4 months back. Bedtime had always been his job because I worked late, so when she suddenly needed me at the sink, I figured it was grief. I just needed to know why, so I could help her. So while we brushed, I started asking gently, "Are you sad about Daddy? Is something scaring you?" She frowned at me like I'd said something bizarre. "I just don't want you to get cavities," she said through a mouthful of toothpaste. Her teacher called me that week, half laughing. Maisie gave an 11-minute presentation on flossing today. Nobody asked her to. I took her to the doctor, sure something was wrong, but he just checked her over and shook his head. "She's perfectly healthy. Whatever started this, it isn't her teeth." She started checking that my toothbrush was wet every night, so she'd know I hadn't faked it. One night, I was too tired and tried to skip it, and Maisie broke down sobbing and grabbed my hand. "Mom, please, we have to brush together." A few nights later, we were on the couch when a toothpaste commercial came on. Brushing alone is not enough to prevent cavities. Maisie sat straight up and pointed at the TV. "That's what Daddy always said when we brushed together. Brushing alone is not enough." I dug my nails into my palm to keep from crying. I never knew her dad had brushed his teeth with her every single night while I was at work. She wasn't doing any of this for cavities. With him gone, she was making sure that neither of us ever brushed alone. I decided not to tell her the commercial only meant she needed the floss. Now I'm the one who hands her the toothbrush at 8:30 and says 2 minutes. Every night at 8:30, my 6-year-old marched into my 7-year-old son was playing with his Bop It toy from the yard sale. "Twist it!" He twisted it, and I laughed until it said, "Take a $100 bill out of your mom's purse. Steal it." I rubbed my eyes in shock. Why was a toy telling my son to steal? My son came running into the kitchen and reached his hand into my purse. "Dean, what the hell was that?" Dean took out the $100 bill and shrugged. "It's just a game, Mommy." I grabbed the toy out of his hand and bopped it in the middle. It spoke again. "Now bring the money to 45th Street. Come alone. Do not tell your mom. Bring it." Dean tugged my sleeve. "Mom, pretend you didn't hear that. I don't want to lose the game." I grabbed my keys because we were going to find out exactly who was behind this. "Then let's go win, baby. I'll drive you." We got in the car, and when I pulled on 45th Street, there was a line of kids clutching Bop Its and fistfuls of bills. My eyes widened because I realized they'd all been scammed just like my son. We got out to follow the line, and my grip tightened on Dean's shoulder because it led straight to the same yard sale we'd bought the Bop It from. I pulled my son behind a truck and dialed 911 while the man patted a kid on the head as he took his money. "Good job, buddy. baby, you won the game. Come back at the same time next week. When 2 squad cars rolled up, the man raised both hands with a big, friendly smile. Officers, it's a yard sale. Kids love toys. Then a cop lifted the garage door behind him, and there it was. A whole wall of bobbits that had been taken apart, sitting beside stacks of cash. He'd been rigging the toys with speakers before he sold them, so every kid who bought one got tricked into giving him money. They cuffed him against his own folding table. Dean tugged my sleeve, and the 100 bill was still crumpled in his fist. Mom, did I lose the game? I kissed his head. No, baby, you ended it. My 7-year-old son was playing with his Bop It.
Good job, Mom. You're the best thing.
A fat kid fell through the sky and landed on my spine. I was crossing the road when a woman driving 80 miles over the speed limit came to a sudden stop, just inches away from my body. Her son instantly ejected from the seat. When he landed on me, I heard my spine crack and I couldn't feel the lower half of my body. His mom ran out of the car and scooped him up. He cried, "My leg hurt when I fell on her, Mommy. Tell her not to do it again." I was in so much pain that tears started streaming down my face. "Please, can someone call an ambulance?" His mom crossed her arms. "You hurt his leg, he hurt your back. We're even, and we're not paying for any medical bills. We're driving to the ER." They started walking to their car, and I knew they were going to leave me. I tried to force my feet to move so I could stand, but more pain shot up my body. I screamed, "Siri, call 911," and my Siri responded, "The ambulance is on their way. Please stay put." The woman had just turned her engine back on when we heard sirens in the distance. She pressed down on her accelerator, but she'd driven in the wrong direction and braked to a stop in front of the ambulance. Her son shot over the front seat and starfished into the windshield, making the same cracking sound that my spine made. He slid down the glass, pointing at her. "You did it again! Tell yourself not to do it again, Mommy!" She'd launched her own kid twice in 10 minutes, and this time an ambulance crew watched her do it. A paramedic was strapping a brace on my neck when she spun on me. "This is your fault!" I gave her a thumbs up from under the neck brace. "Don't worry, we're even now." A fat kid fell through the sky and landed on. I walked into my house and instantly rolled my eyes because there was a hole in my roof I'd never seen, and I had no idea how it got there. It was so small, I wasn't even going to fix it. But that night, while I was sleeping, I woke up to water pouring on my face because it was raining. I called a contractor in the morning and stood outside tapping my foot, but when he stepped out of his truck, my jaw dropped because he was at least 400 pounds. He barely glanced up at the hole in my roof before waving his hand. "That little thing? I'll have it patched in 10 minutes. This is easy." He leaned his ladder against the house and started climbing like he'd done it 1,000 times. But something about the way the ladder creaked under his weight made my stomach turn, so I climbed up behind him to keep an eye on things. He walked right up to the hole and took out his tools, but the roof was already bending. "Are you sure this roof can hold you? You know, because of how heavy your tools are and everything?" I tried finding a way to phrase it nicely, but he put his bucket of cement down and got in my face. "What are you trying to say? I've been doing this for 20 years. This roof is solid." He stomped his foot down to prove it, and that's when it happened. My roof cracked open right under him. I watched in horror as this 400-pound man crashed on my living room floor stomach first. He laid there flat and not moving, while I stood on the edge of the brand new crater in my roof. I wasn't even going to fix it. Now the hole was 10 times as big. I walked into my house and instantly I was walking out of the store when an old man on a red mobility scooter rolled up next to me and asked if he could carry my groceries. I told him no thanks and started walking home. I shifted my grocery bag to my other hand, slipped my wallet into my back pocket, and clenched my keys between my fingers like my mom taught me. When I glanced back half a block later, he was still rolling behind me with that little basket up front. I walked faster. The scooter matched my pace. I had no idea what this old man wanted from me, but it couldn't be good. I kept glancing back the whole walk home, and every time he was still there with the scooter humming behind me. I took my usual left turn, and he took the same left. A block later, I turned onto Walnut, and so did he, and my chest tightened. Who was this guy? Michael Myers? I was full-on speed walking now, looking back every few seconds, but I couldn't lose the hum of the scooter. Every true crime podcast I'd ever listened to started playing in my head. I dropped the grocery bag and sprinted. I cut through somebody's yard and looped around the block with my heart pounding. When I finally turned onto my street, he was already there at the far end with my front door halfway between us. I ran. I burst inside, slammed the door, locked it, and pressed my back against it. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't steady them. Outside, the hum got louder until it stopped right in front of my apartment. 3 slow knocks. I crawled to the peephole and looked through it. The old man was holding something up in one hand. It took me a full 5 seconds to realize it was my wallet. I checked my back pocket. Empty. I slowly opened the door. "You dropped this in the parking lot," he said. I tried to catch up, but these scooters don't go very fast. I took the wallet with both hands, too stunned to say anything except thank you. He nodded and started turning the scooter around, then paused. "You should be careful walking alone at night," he said. "Lots of weirdos out here." I was walking out of the
I thought
store
you
when an
were one
old
of
man
them.
on a red mobility scooter rolled. I walked into school with my new platform shoes, and my classmate Darren instantly pointed at them. "Hey, can we swap? Those look so cool." I told him no because one of my legs is shorter than the other, and these shoes are custom built so I can walk around pain-free. Darren snarled and took off his shoes, but mine light up. "You'll be fine." I told him no and walked away. But during lunch, I felt a sharp pain in my foot. I took off my shoe to see what was wrong, and that's when Darren grabbed my shoe. "If I can't have your shoes, then neither can you." He threw them down the hill
Oh
before
my
I could stop
God.
him. I watched the reason I could walk pain-free
You're
tumble
so
down
stupid.
and land somewhere deep in a dirty bush. I dropped to the floor crying, but then Darren gripped his head. "Oh my God, one of your legs is actually shorter. That's so funny." He took out his phone and started taking pictures, and that's when I snapped. I stood up, clenched my fists, and told him, "Since you threw
What?
my shoes, you can go
Okay.
find them." I pushed him, and he went flying